Darkcast Network. Welcome to the dark side of podcasting.
A respected teacher, a tangled web of relationships, in a crime that exposed manipulation, betrayal, and secrets people were desperate to keep hidden.
What happened in Pennsylvania's main line in the summer of 1979 would unravel into one of the most controversial and disturbing murder cases the region has ever seen. This is the case of Susan Reinert.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 24 of Stop Who Does That. I'm Jackie.
I'm Jenna.
And we hope everyone is having a great week. This week, I went back to work. I've got an hour drive each way, so I'm just trying to adjust to this new commute, as well as fight off the flu. My daughter got the flu this week, so you may hear a little bit of raspiness in my voice today, but we just wanted to make sure we got this episode out for you guys today. How about you, Jenna?
Yeah, it's been kind of a quiet week for me, and it's like a nice, dreary, rainy day out today, so it's perfect for recording and hopefully melting all the snow away because I'm sick of seeing it out there.
I know it's stuck around for quite some time, but at least it's starting to warm up, so to speak.
Yeah, 44 feels like spring to us.
But Jenna, tell everyone about what we're doing in April.
Yeah, so as the weather's warming up and we're heading towards spring, we are going to be participating in the Beyond the Crime Convention in Albuquerque, New Mexico on April 10th and 11th. And we're thrilled for the opportunity. We're going to be doing a live podcast there. We're going to have a table set up and we're going to be talking with other true crime hosts. There'll be detectives, there'll be some attorneys, Gabby Petito's mom will be there, and we would love for you guys to come out and support us and support the convention because all the money raised will go to families of missing people, and it's going to be a really great time. I'm looking forward to it, Jackie.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait to meet all the other creators, as well as Gabby Petito's mom and stepmom are going to be there, and the defense attorney for John Wayne Gacy. That's going to be so cool to listen to hear what they have to say. I know the defense attorney is saying, I know he was guilty. Okay. But I would just love to hear what it was like to have to defend somebody that you knew was that guilty and evil and disgusting.
It's such a high profile.
Yeah. And how do you grapple with that ethically? Right.
Yeah.
So hopefully we get to ask some questions. I'll definitely be asking her a lot.
Yeah.
And then also we will be on a soundstage broadcasting to you in front of a live audience.
Yeah.
But we are in the middle of deciding which case we're going to do. We decided we are going to do one we've already done and one of our best. So if you have any suggestions for which one of our best you'd love to hear us, we're kind of between the Richard Griest episode and Jamie Sylvanik. So if you haven't listened to those, go back and listen to them and then reach out to us on social media or email us at stopwhodoesthatpodcast@gmail.com and you give us your feedback.
We would love it. Yeah, please help us make up our mind.
All right. Well, let's get into it. This case today actually hits a little close to home for me, and I'll tell you in a little bit why. But on June 25th, 1979, quiet stretch of Pennsylvania's prestigious main line became the backdrop for one of the region's most chilling and complicated murder cases. When beloved teacher Susan Reinert was found dead in the trunk of her car, it set off an investigation filled with secrecy, betrayal, and shocking twists that would take years to untangle. It wasn't just a murder case. It was a story of secrets, manipulation, obsession, and lives destroyed. This is the case of Susan Reinert.
Susan Reinert was born September 1st, 1942, making her 36 years old at the time of the crime. She was born in Ridgeway, PA, to William D. and Jane Hollis Gallagher. Susan married Kenneth Wayne Reinert in 1968. They had 2 children, Michael and Karen. Susan stopped working to take care of the children while Kenneth remained in the Air Force. When he left the service in 1971, she began teaching again. Fortunately, the two separated in 1974, and their divorce was final on March 15th, 1976. Susan was an English teacher for Upper Merion High School in King of Prussia and lived in Ardmore, PA.
So, Jenna, fun fact, my dad actually attended Upper Merion High School at the same time that Susan Reinert was a teacher there. I did talk to him about this case recently. He did have her the year leading up to her murder. And he doesn't remember what her voice sounded like, which we're going to explain to you in a little bit. But he did say she was very kind and that she was the only teacher that could pronounce our last name correctly. It's an Italian last name, so it gets mispronounced quite frequently. But it always stuck out to him that she could pronounce his last name correctly.
Yeah.
It's interesting that my dad was a student here. And as we go throughout the story, just remember my dad is a teenager and he's living through this in real time. He does remember being interviewed by the news as well in the school parking lot during this time.
Well, that his class was one of the last classes that she taught there then.
Yeah, he graduated in 1980. So yeah, I mean, I would imagine even underclassmen would have remembered her too.
Yeah.
But it's crazy how the whole time we're researching this case, and I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but I'm thinking the whole time, I'm like, my teenage minor dad was exposed to these people. And
Yes,
just as a parent now, I'm like, I would have been furious if I were my grandparents and finding out my child is around people like this. But we'll get into that in a little bit.
We'll get into what was going on in Upper Merion High School. Not the students. We're talking about the teachers. So we will get into that as well. But yeah, keep in the back of your mind that Jackie's dad was taught by... Unfortunately, like we mentioned, Susan and Kenneth did get a divorce in 1976, and they remained amicable since. It wasn't a bad divorce. They raised their children together. They co-parented, and they maintained a good relationship. Susan lived in Ardmore, PA, which in our area down there is known as the Main Line. It's not just an area, it's a region. The Main Line runs west of Philadelphia along the old Pennsylvania Railroad line, known for tree-lined streets, sprawling stone mansions. Some of the most prestigious private schools in the state are in that area. You know, think manicured lawns, country clubs, horse farms, and generational wealth. This is a very wealthy area of Philadelphia. It's outside the city by only a little bit, but it's kind of like its own world full of wealthy people. It's the kind of community where last names carry weight, reputations are carefully guarded, and appearances matter.
A little fun fact about the Main Line. So if you guys remember Anna Nicole Smith, the old man that she married, James Howard Marshall, he's actually from the Main Line. He went to Haverford College, which is one of the prestigious schools on the Main Line. So that just kind of gives you an idea of what kind of blue bloods we have around here. There's just fascinating in history. Someone that had ties to that area, Mariska Hargitay from Law and Order SVU, her mother, Jane Mansfield, is also from the Main Line. So there's always somebody I'm always learning about that came from that area.
It's very prestigious area. Despite what we just described, the big mansions and the private schools and fancy homes and cars, you could describe Susan as overall pretty plain. She had short hair, big rim glasses, and a very unique squeaky kind of voice. She didn't really fit into the image of living in the main line. But I think that she's wanted to be included. You know, she was coming into her own after going through the divorce with Kenneth. So she's
Mm-hmm.
36 years old. She's making new friends and joining the community. It was at her job as an English teacher at Upper Merion High School where she met fellow teacher William Bill Bradfield. And Bill made Susan feel special right from the beginning. He just gave her that butterflies in your stomach, young love type of feeling. And from what we know about Bill Bradfield, he was very good at that. He made a lot of women feel butterflies and that loving, like exciting
Mm-hmm.
feeling. And for Susan, coming out after her divorce, this was just like a whole new world for her. She felt young again. She felt in love. She was just enamored with Bill Bradfield. Bill was a ruggedly handsome, muscular man with very blue eyes. He sported a full mustache and beard, which Jackie and I said he reminds us straight from the Civil War times. When
Yeah.
we'll bring up some pictures then, but he just looked
Yeah.
like that kind of burly man. He had a long, not like a 70s style beard, like a beard from the
Mm-hmm.
1800s.
Yeah, so this is Susan here. I wish I had a better photo, but this is the one that comes up most often. And then this is Bill Bradfield right here. So as you can see, this is kind of what we're talking about, like the Civil War type
Yeah.
beard.
And he just was this larger than life teacher at the school. And a lot of the fellow women teachers just were enthralled with him. Like they thought he was the best. And he obviously, that stroked his ego. And then he, you know, that's how he kind of
Mhm.
like portrayed himself to be. He
Mhm.
kind of reminded me of the Don Draper of the teaching world.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I got. And for whatever reason, as we later will talk to you about, he kind of reminds me of Ted Bundy a little bit.
Oh, with that
Yeah,
charm.
it's
Yeah, he was
yeah.
charming. He was a womanizer,
Liar.
a very good liar, and he also
Yeah.
was an English teacher. That's
Mhm.
how he started out. He was considered one of the most inspiring teachers at the school, English teacher, and then he added classes in Latin and Greek to his repertoire. So he
Mhm.
wasn't just an English teacher, Jackie. He was doing Latin and Greek. And
Oh,
on top of that, he would eventually be elected president of the Upper Merion Teachers Union, which is like, hello, let's get up there. So Bill
yeah.
was living his life.
Yeah, it looks like the Birds and Beer podcast on their Instagram here. They have some good photos.
Oh, damn.
So
Yeah.
here's a good one of William Bradfield. This is Jay Smith, who we're going to talk about in a minute. That's the principal. And then we have Susan.
Yeah, those
Again,
are
it's
good.
kind of like a similar photo of her. It's just not really great.
He doesn't have
And
many
then
photos. Yeah.
Sue Myers, who we'll talk about in a minute. But
Yeah.
yeah, these are a little bit better of photos there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bill, let's talk a little bit more about Bill. Bill Bradfield was a man who enjoyed expressing affection physically. He was described as being a big hugger. He was also very popular with the women, as we talked about, especially fellow teachers at Upper Merion High School. A factor in his popularity with women was that he didn't just give them the impression he was interested in having sex with them. So as Sue Myers, a fellow Upper Merion High School teacher who lived with him, put it, quote, I never felt he was out for a sexual fix. He seemed interested in women as people, in their ideas, values, and their beliefs. He also tended to go after women who were not especially attractive because he knew they were insecure. And let me just pull up those photos one more time here because I'll show you again now that we have a little more context. So this is the Susan he's living with, Sue Myers. I know this is a lot to keep straight because he couldn't find another teacher without having the same name as Susan Reinert, right? Or the woman he's living with, right? He just had to find two Susans. So this is the one he's living with, but then this one's the one we're all talking about, Susan Reinert, okay? While he's living with this one, he's seeing her on the side.
I just want to say that Bill Bradfield would be thriving in today's dating world with all the apps and the way he was using women back in the 70s and preying on unattractive, insecure people. He would have had a freaking field day if he was doing that in 2026. Was thinking that.
Oh, but then would he be able to have gotten away with it as well as he kind of did? I don't know. But I mean, it's got my head spinning the more and more you find out about him and who's lurking in the shadows with him. It's just, he must have been a slick talker, is what I gather, is that I'm sure he gaslit Sue Myers probably all the time, which we know he did because, yeah.
And he was
Later
a love
on.
bomber. He was
Yeah.
he was love bomber to the extreme.
100%, and we'll get more into that later as we go through this case. But yeah, he targeted specific types of women because he knew they were insecure. Susan obviously was very smitten with Bill. They had a passionate secret affair that had been going on even before her divorce from her husband. So obviously this is the reason why she left her husband, probably among other things, right? Bill also had to keep his situation living with Sue Myers a secret as well because he thought they would lose their jobs if the school knew that two unmarried teachers were living together. So that's just a sign of the times, right? Like living together and having a baby out of wedlock was taboo in the 70s. So Bill, I'm just trying to put myself in Bill's shoes here. Not only do I have to make sure my coworkers don't know that I live with Sue Myers, but I also need to make sure that Sue Myers and other people don't know I'm also seeing Susan Reinert. Doesn't that make your head spin, Jenna?
Yeah, like who the hell has time for that? Okay, Bill, like
no.
don't you have
How do you-
hobbies and like other things you could be doing? Like, my God.
His hobby was weaving a web of lies. That was his hobby. And gaslighting was his second hobby. So Bradfield told Susan Myers, who he was living with, that he wasn't ready for marriage because he had been married 2 previous times and both of those relationships failed. I mean, I'm not surprised. As one can tell, Bill is no stranger to keeping secrets and creating sordid circumstances surrounding his life. But Bill Bradfield always denied there was a romance between him and Susan. Quote, I was never in love with Susan Reinert, he insisted to Loretta Schwartz Noble, the author of Engaged to Murder. I never intended to marry her, and I was never her lover. I wanted to be her friend and help her. He described, you ready for this, Jenna? He described Susan Reinert as much too mousy and pitiful of a woman to be attractive to him.
What an asshole.
Yeah, I have no words for that one.
But then he's love bombing her, you know, behind all of this, having sex with her, and as we get into manipulating and using
Ripping her off. Yeah.
but he's telling everyone else, like, ew, I would never be with Steve Reiner.
Well, it kind of reminds me when you catch a guy talking to some chick and they're like,
Yeah.
ew, I don't like her. She's disgusting. She's
just my
trashy.
friend.
Yeah. Huh?
Like, they would say, she's just my friend. Like he said,
Yeah.
I was just a friend. You know, we were just friends. I was trying to help her. That's what a guy would say when they're caught. Oh, her? She's just my friend.
Oh, yeah. Or she's gross. Like, I don't like her like that. Or she just got a thing for me and I don't know how to, like, get her to go away. Like, times may change, but men's lies don't seem to ever change, do they? Jenna?
Absolutely. Great point.
So we got Bill over here acting like, you know, he just doesn't have anything going on with her. It was also at Upper Merion High School that Bill befriended the principal, Jay Smith, a retired Army colonel and a man people rarely forgot. Jay Smith had a dry, biting sense of humor and an unmistakable presence, often dressed head to toe in black suits that didn't quite fit. When a secretary once questioned him about his wardrobe, he shrugged and said, believe it or not, I buy all my suits at the Salvation Army. Author Joseph Wambaugh would later write that some thought Smith, quote, looked like an obscene phone call.
That's funny.
I can't mentally conjecture that up,
I'm gonna
but
start incorporating that more often. You look like an obscene
obscene phone
phone
call.
call.
That must have been an insult in the 70s or 80s. I don't know.
Yeah, like, what do they mean? Like a telemarketer? Or like, I don't know.
By 1978, Jay had a lot going on in his life as his wife was dealing with a terminal cancer diagnosis. His wife, Stephanie, recently moved back home after receiving this diagnosis, previously having separated from Jay in 1977. His oldest daughter, Stephanie Hunsberger, was a heroin addict along with her husband, Edward. At this time, they are living with Jay and his wife. His youngest daughter, Shar, was described to have had some mental disturbances, and it seemed as if maybe she was a handful as well and a major stressor in his life. During this time, while his wife is struggling with her cancer diagnosis, Jay is having many sexual proclivities, including subscriptions to swinger magazines, gay magazines, and shockingly had an interest in bestiality, which all came to light when he was arrested several times between 1978 and 1979 on various drug, weapons, and robbery charges in more than one neighboring county. So if that revelation sounds unbelievable, just you wait, because from this moment on, Sue, Bill, and Jay's lives would become permanently and infamously intertwined. Let's dive in, Jenna.
Yeah, that's a lot on Jay right there. I just want to let everyone know that while like we were researching this story, I just kept picturing the principal from Ferris Bueller's Day Off in my head. That principal, like the way he was like bald and real squirrely, and like he didn't, and it seemed like a regular school principal, like Jay Smith. Mind you, like he's the principal of a high school, and he's like doing all this weird shit privately.
Yeah.
And getting arrested on different charges and whatnot.
I'm here.
You know, while he's
Yeah.
working it out with the school system, he would make weird announcements the public, your daily morning announcements. It was said he would come on and make weird sexual innuendo type jokes in the morning. And he's the freaking high school principal here. So it just paints a picture in your head. Think of the principal from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That was him.
I mean, he looks creepy. But then again, I feel like photos of people from the 70s always look creepy to me with their weird looking glasses and stuff. I don't know why, but I get the ick when I think of like when I see photos from the 70s, or like I look through my parents' yearbooks and I'm like, this is just like feels like a really creepy time to be alive.
It does. The photos are creepy.
They are. And I think your parents went to high school around the same time. So
They were the early to mid 70s.
Yeah, so I'm sure you've like gone through their yearbooks and it's just like, I don't know, the fashion, the hair, the glass. I just get really skeeved out by the 70s. I'm sorry. There's like nothing attractive about it to me, let alone what I'm finding out about the faculty at this school. I mean, again, guys, if you're thinking of my dad right now, my dad is 16, 17 years old and surrounded by people that are into this sort of thing.
He's being taught by these people. So many teachers at that high school and the principal, they were all fucked up. Like this was a group, this is a group of fucked up like people teaching kids.
Yeah. So back to his robbery, theft, and weapons charges. Essentially, he would dress up in a security guard outfit, Jay Smith. He would dress up in the security guard outfit and go to the malls in the area and rob the stores. He robbed $53,000 from Sears Roebuck & Co. in Radnor Township. And he posed as a Brinks security guard, Brinks armor truck guard. And then he did $158,000 from a Sears store in Bensalem. So he would travel around like the neighboring area and pretend to be an armor truck driver or security guard.
I think he just
Yeah.
did it for fun.
Yeah, and then the magazines, they found them in his vehicles when they busted him,
The gay mag.
along with the uniforms that he stole and weapons. He would have guns in his car. So this guy had a secret life. What's a TV show where like the character had like a secret life?
He must have been a Gemini, I just want to say.
Oh my God. Yes, he must have been, because
Is-
I can't understand this. Like, you were a colonel in the military up until 1976. I'm assuming 1977, 78, you get a job as a principal at a high school. And during this time, you decide you want to go robbing stores to get your jollies off. I don't know.
Yeah, and these are the people Sue Reinert is surrounded by. She just was a sweet soul and a kind person.
Surrounded by sharks.
Yeah, it was that bad. So these are the kind of people that she's around daily. It's not just once in a while. She is with these men every day at the school.
Yep.
And it brings us to Friday, June 22nd. 1979. Susan Reiner and her two children, Michael and Karen, were seen alive on this day for the last time. Earlier that day, her son Michael attended a father-son softball tournament with his father, Kenneth. Like we stated before, they all had a great relationship. That evening, Susan called her former in-laws to confirm weekend plans for the children to visit them in Allentown, which is about an hour drive north, while she attended a conference up there for single parents. It's an organization she was heavily involved in since her divorce. Around 9 p.m. that evening, neighbors saw Michael and Karen playing outside. Just after 9:20 p.m., a neighbor and her granddaughter spotted Susan and the children on their porch before hearing them drive away from their home in Susan's car. Karen, age 11, was said to be wearing a small green pin with a white letter P, a souvenir from a class trip to the Philadelphia Museum of Art. Michael, age 10, was wearing a Philadelphia Phillies t-shirt. After that night, none of them were ever seen or heard from again. And that just makes me a little choked up, Jackie, because they're so young and innocent, 10 and 11 years old. Just started their summer vacation, out playing that night, probably a warm summer night, get in mom's car, and they were never seen again.
Yeah, to this day.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of poetic that Michael had a father and son game with his dad.
Oh, I know.
And I bet you his dad probably replayed that over and over and over in his head for years.
Kenneth is forgotten in this story a lot, but those are his children, and he was horribly affected by this too. 3 days later, which brings us to June 25th, 1979, an anonymous caller would alert police to the discovery of a nude female body in Swatara Township, Pennsylvania. The caller, who chose not to identify himself, told police that he had discovered a, quote, sick woman in a motel parking lot. Police would arrive a short time later, just after 5:30 a.m. at the Host Inn Motel in Harrisburg. Harrisburg is about 2-ish hours west of Philadelphia, maybe 2.5 hours west. There, they would easily find Sue's orange-red Plymouth Horizon in the motel parking lot, with the hatchback left open, revealing the nude woman's body inside. Police would not initially reveal any specific details about the woman's death, such as the means or whether she had endured any type of abuse preceding it, but would state that there were signs of trauma preceding her murder. The remains would be identified later that day by Susan's ex-husband, Kenneth, as Susan Reinert. Missing from the scene entirely were Susan's two children, 11-year-old Karen and 10-year-old Michael, who had both gone missing earlier that weekend, like we talked about on Friday, June 22nd. Police would spend the next several hours attempting to track down the children, believing or hoping that they might have been left with a babysitter. But none of Susan's usual babysitters, friends, or family members had seen the children that weekend, and it wasn't believed that she had left them with anyone. Wherever she had gone, she had taken the kids with her. Investigators would soon learn Sue had attempted to cancel her plans that weekend in Allentown, having spoken to the woman organizing the conference and attempting to find a replacement to moderate the workshop that she was going there to attend. Investigators would also learn that Sue had called the motel in Allentown where she would be staying, telling them that she had to cancel her plans. That call had also come during the week, I want to mention. It came well ahead of her last known sighting. So Susan made these calls to rearrange the conference and cancel the motel in Allentown days before she went missing.
Days
So-
before she even left. Oh, yeah.
Yes. So
plans changed.
yeah, so it's not like she abruptly changed her plans that Friday evening. It sounds
Mhm.
like she changed her plans earlier in the week. And I'm thinking that perhaps Bill had enticed her with a weekend getaway or
Yeah.
something like that. I can't imagine who or what else she would possibly cancel plans for, except for Bill. He had this like hold on her.
Yeah.
And she would do anything for him.
Yeah. And I mean, the fact that she was found in Harrisburg, I wonder if he was like, let's meet up in Harrisburg to get her there.
Good
Yeah.
point. Good point. And she took the kids instead of leaving them with Kenneth, her in-laws, or a babysitter, which I find also weird. Did he say, just bring the kids, we'll all spend time together?
That's what I'm thinking.
He must have, because
Like, let's go on a camping trip or something. I don't.
if it was like a romantic weekend away, he never would have said bring the kids. So, well, now we know why, because he wanted to get rid of all of them.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I'll say that from this moment in time on, the case would be handled by Pennsylvania state troopers at this point.
Yeah. So the autopsy of Susan Reinert was performed by Dauphin County coroner Dr. William Bush, who, it's worth noting, was not a forensic pathologist, but an internist. Dr. Bush originally determined that Susan's cause of death was either due to strangulation or suffocation, with being bound beforehand, most likely with a chain. Her body showed no signs of sexual assault, but that didn't mean her last hours were necessarily peaceful. Cuts and bruises all over her body indicated that she had been beaten before being killed and then placed in the wheel well of her own vehicle. And I had to look up what the heck a wheel well is. Do you know, Jenna?
I feel like it's the spot between the wheel and the car.
Yeah, so I looked it up and it's definitely that. Let me show you here. Which is weird because when they showed up on the scene at the hotel, they say she was found in the trunk.
Right.
So, and that's what reports say, is that she was in the trunk, but then we're seeing reports about the wheel well. So like, this is the wheel well. How do you cram somebody up in there? That's what I don't understand.
Well, yeah, no wonder her body was bruised and beaten. They had to shove her in there.
Dr. Bush would conclude that Susan had been deceased for approximately 24 hours from when her body was found in the Host Inn parking lot, speculating that her time of death had come between 12 and 6 a.m. the day prior on Sunday, June 24th. So remember, she left with the children on Friday, and she wasn't found dead until Monday, with her time of death being sometime Sunday evening. This was at least 27 hours after she had driven away from her home in Ardmore along with the two children, creating a large window for investigators to fill. Shockingly, in the coming months, test results would find that she had been injected with a lethal dose of morphine before her death. A state official would tell Philadelphia Daily News that there was enough morphine in Reinert's body to kill her 10 times over, indicating that she had been intentionally overdosed. Most frustrating of all was the lack of any real physical evidence. Other than some fibers found on Susan's body and only one partial fingerprint, police could find nothing in the vehicle that they could link to the potential killers. From here, investigators began expanding their search outwards. Authorities then began reaching out to those who knew Sue, her close friends, family members, coworkers, and usual babysitters. Unfortunately, none of them had thought anything was out of the ordinary leading up to Sue's murder. Many, including Sue's boyfriend at the time, Bill Bradfield, provided a convincing alibi for that weekend. He was in Cape May, New Jersey with his live-in girlfriend, Susan Myers, and fellow English teachers Vincent, Velatus, and Christopher Pappas. Inside Sue's Ardmore home, police found something unsettling. Not chaos, but order. Clothes were carefully laid out, suitcases packed, everything ready for a weekend away. Meaning there's no indication that she was packing up her entire life to run away. It looked like a family preparing to leave, but not one that never came back. Investigators quickly learned what that meant. Whatever happened to Sue and her children didn't happen inside that house. It happened after they walked out the door. Here's where the story takes a darker turn. Susan's body wasn't discovered anywhere near Allentown, where she was supposed to be that weekend. It was found in Harrisburg. And that alone might have been strange, except someone else connected to Susan was also in Harrisburg at the same time. Jay Smith, her principal. He wasn't visiting. He was there to begin serving a sentence for theft, weapons, and drug charges at the State Correctional Institution at Camp Hill. And let me show you where the hotel was that her body was found in relation to where this correctional facility was. So I found an old postcard online of the Americana Host Inn in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and it says the address for this hotel, which I don't believe is in existence anymore, is between routes 283 and 441 in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. He was set to check in at State Correctional Institution, or SCI Camp Hill, to turn himself in to serve a sentence. Now, let me pull up a map here and show you. So I'm estimating that the hotel was somewhere, it was like somewhere over here. Which would be where that hotel where her body was found. It's somewhere over here. And then here is where the prison was that he was supposed to check into that same weekend, Jenna. So knowing what we know now, that Jay was in Harrisburg at the same time or the same weekend in which her body was found in Harrisburg, which is a place she wasn't even supposed to be in to begin with, Jenna. Let's just show the listeners and viewers just how close the hotel and the prison he was set to check into were. So the hotel that she was found at is no longer in existence, but I was able to find out where it was. So it was about in this area, Swatara. Okay. And then we have SCI Camp Hill right over here. So that's really not far at all. So from here to here, it would have been very easy for Jay to have kind of killed her on his way in and dumped her body before checking in the prison.
I think.
Yeah, but I'm sure you're all wondering, well, why? We don't know that he was having an affair with her in any form or fashion. She was having the affair with Bill Bradfield. But when we go into part 2, we'll dig in a little deeper and give you a little more context as to why Jay would be involved in any of this. All right, well, we'll see you for part 2
Yep.
next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.